Check 1 2. Test 1 2.
In the mighty. Hello? Oh my God. Yeah.
Chance, I got the invoice. I wanted to make sure I get it to you. I didn't want to leave without, so no, we'll do it before the meeting is out. But I know it's going to be fast. Good morning. Good morning again. We're going to begin the meeting of the Southern University Board of Supervisors. We'll call the meeting to order, and we will now turn to our Vice Chair, Dr. Talbot, to introduce our minister this morning who will provide the invocation. Dr. Talbot.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rutledge, and to members of the board. Our invocation today will be presented by one of the local pastors here in New Orleans, Louisiana. He is the Reverend Jamal Weathersby. He is an ardent student of the Word, and his focus is to empower believers with tools to effectively enlarge the kingdom of God. Reverend Jamal Weathersby is the pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church of New Orleans, Louisiana. He's a native of New Orleans. He accepted his call as a minister of the gospel in 1997 at the age of 17. After receiving his license and being ordained, he was appointed the youth pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church under the late Reverend John C. Raphael Jr. and served in that capacity until he was appointed as the pastor's executive assistant. In 2012, Reverend Weathersby was called to serve as the pastor of the historic True Vine Baptist Church of West Wego, Louisiana. And upon the death of his pastor, the Reverend John C. Raphael Jr., Reverend Weathersby was chosen by God to lead the New Hope Baptist Church and was installed as the new pastor on August 30th, 2013. Reverend Weathersby is a graduate of Loyola University in New Orleans, where he earned a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in religious studies. He also studied at the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. He's blessed to share his ministry across the country. Reverend Weathersby is married to the lovely Letitia Weathersby, and they are the proud parents of 2 children. He is, and I'm proud to say, a supported member of the National Baptist Convention of America that met here up to last night in New Orleans this week. He was a part of those who supported and helped us to launch our young adult convention for those ages 25 to 40 in our churches around America this week. And I'm proud to ask him at this time to come to the podium and lead us in the invocation.
Thank you, Pastor Tolbert. Let us look to God. Father, how we thank you for this another day that you've blessed us with. We thank you for your grace, your goodness, and your guidance. We pray, dear God, that you'll give us clean hearts and clear minds as we proceed. And Allow us, Lord, to use every opportunity to make this meeting acceptable in your sight. I pray that you give wisdom and that you will give insight. I pray, Lord, that this will be a productive gathering for all those who are involved. We give you the glory for what you will do, what you're doing now. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
And Reverend Weathersby, on your way out, if you'll come this way, I guess, I'd like to present you this certificate. To Reverend Jamal Weathersby, pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church, New Orleans, for providing spiritual enrichment to the monthly meeting of the Southern University System Board of Supervisors, June 2019. Thank you very much. God bless you. Good. That's good. And he's going to remain with us for about an hour in case we need another prayer.
Thank you, Dr. Talbot, and thank you, Pastor Weathersby. Before we turn it over to Chairman Gaines and the Academic Affairs Committee, I want to remind members of the audience who wish to make a comment regarding any item that's on the agenda. We kindly request that you fill out a comment card, which are available, I believe, at the podium, or here at the front door, I'm sorry, and you can provide them to Dr. Robert Renee upon completion. Thank you. Chairman Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We're now at item 3. Roll call, please.
Dr. James,
Here.
Dr. Davis, Mr. Bartholomew, Mr. Gillum, Dr. Talbot, Dr. Tarver, Attorney Rutledge. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're now at item 4, which is the adoption of the agenda. And I would like to request that we remove item 6A and B from today's agenda, and we'll bring it back at a later date. And this is at the request of the faculty staff, faculty senate president. Okay, it has been moved. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of the motion, vote with the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. The agenda is adopted. Now, item 5, public comments. Are there any public comments relating to the Academic Affairs Committee? Any public comments? Hearing none, we will move on. We're now at item 6, and the chair will entertain a motion for the adoption of item 6C. Do I have a motion? Moved. Second? Second. Been moved in second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, vote with the sign. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. To have the chancellor, chancellor, could you kind of give us a little overview of that? I mean, 1 minute, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
1 minute. Okay.
Yes, sir. So this is part of the ongoing work of the Southern University Law Center to institutionalize our work with respect to cannabis compliance law, policy, and regulatory matters. We have been getting students trained in this arena. We have created relationships with ALERA and other actually nonprofits and governmental agencies, and we've actually gotten students to have internships related to cannabis regulatory issues, legal issues, and compliance issues. And this also includes hemp, which is a form of the cannabis. And there's a great demand for this as legislation is just exploding everywhere in relation to this.
I second.
Thank you, Chairman Gaines. Before we go to our athletics committee, we'll ask that Attorney DeQueer would come now and swear in our new board member, Mr. Dunbar. And Ms. Banks and Dr. Renee, we've got to get Mr. Dunbar a nameplate. Oh, we have it. I got you. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me in. Yeah. Come around this. Oh, you got there's a good. All right.
I, Donald Dunbar, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, Constitution and laws of this state, and I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a board member of the Board of Supervisors of Southern University and Agricultural and Mechanical College, according to the best of my ability and understanding. So help me God. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Dunbar, and we're very happy to welcome you to the Southern University Board of Supervisors. Now we'll go to our Athletics Committee. Chairman Bartholomew.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call to order the Athletic Committee. At this time, we have a roll call vote, please, Mr. Secretary.
Yes. Mr. Bartholomew,
Here.
Attorney Shorty, Mr. Fundell, Reverend Henry, Attorney McGee, Dr. Whitfield, Attorney Rutledge.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Now, adoption of the agenda. Second has been moved and second. All in favor says yes. Any nays? Hearing none, it passes. It's approved accordingly. Any public comments at this time? Do we have any public comments? Hearing none, we'll move to item 6A. Request approval for contract extension to head coach, women basketball, Halls Cruces, Southern University in Baton Rouge. Is there an offer?
Is that 5A?
6A.
5A.
Motion.
Second.
Offer, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it, passed. 6B, request for approval of contract extension to head coach baseball, Kendrick Jackson. Second. Been moved and been second. I beg your pardon? Absolutely. Okay. It has been moved and second. We have a question.
And I do support this. I'm not on this committee, but I do have a little bit of a concern. I know some of these approvals are also coming with salary increases, and in February, I think there was an article of a $1.2 million deficit. Is there a plan in place through the athletic department to start addressing this deficit by way of sponsorship or other ways?
We're in the process of developing an investigation in the athletic to see what it needs to be done so we don't wind up with having deficits. And what step the system and the board need to take to promote equality as far as the finances is concerned in the athletic department, and not having it at the end of the year where we have a deficit that we need to pick up. So that is on the table at this point in time that we're trying to set up the process. Now, if anything specifically you need to know, maybe the AD or the
He's
president
here, Mr. Bartholomew.
can add to the fact, but we are aware and we're taking the step to take the initiative to address those concerns.
Yeah, I do have a specific
Sure.
question, because we're talking about 1.2 million in a deficit and then turning around and increasing salaries. So my question is, and forgive my ignorance if this has already taken place, but do we have a plan in place that's going to include an increase in sponsorships, an increase in naming right type activities, and possible more support? Because I noticed that they said the football team actually bought in some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a $1.2 million in athletics that's in the deficit. So My question is, what plans do you have as an athletic director to help reduce that? Will it come in the form of increasing your sponsorships, ticket sales, or what? Because, and I'm just giving you this as an example, there are lots of people that are going to want to come on this campus because it's an election year. Have we reached out to them in some type of capital campaign that would allow them to even purchase signage that would go on the fields, or signage from different places or businesses that would be, you could use it as a 2-year plan that would clear this deficit and then give you 1 year ahead? So my question is June elections are in October. Has there been any thought on how we can be creative in doing a capital campaign through the athletic department?
Yes, let me apologize for coming in a little late. Was taking care of some business outside, and I think that I didn't get all of the understanding of the asking about the question of where we headed in the different directions. But let me just give you a synopsis of what's going on. So to cut into the deficit, we have formulated over the last 2 years, if you look at athletics, where we have grown athletics outside third-party monies, which is corporate sponsors that go through the foundation. We have grown that over 30%. And before I took office here, took over the position of athletic director, we did not have corporate sponsor in place, a person. We was able to bring Mr. Denise Rankins on board, and we were generating something probably like $200,000, $300,000 a year, and now we're right at $900,000 to $1 million a year generating third-party money. She's also responsible for helping us increase ancillary events across the campus. And so what you're saying is election year, and we do engage with politicians, and not only politicians, but other small businesses that we're generating funds for to create dollars for the athletic department. And so that looked like something, if you want to come in and you have $250 and you just want to pass out information materials, then we have different levels of that we created in the last 2 years since I've taken over as athletic director. But no question about it that this deficit is probably more mandated by the NCA for what we went through with corrective actions when they came on campus. And so that meant something like we increased scholarships from right at $1 million. We is budgeting something like 1.8, and now scholarships are right at $3 million. And that come from a direct corrective actions that we had to correct from the university side to become NCA compliant. And so as scholarships and amounts goes up, there were never any student fees or never anything given to the budget. That's more the part that impacted the budget or created this gap. And so what we are doing is creating ancillary events, overtime series with campaigns where we can cut into the budget, and not only cut into the budget, but do our daily routines, our daily daily operation expenses without hurting ourselves. So it's a two-part that we have to continue to fight this deficit with. I think that in the last couple of years that we have done a great job of cutting into the budget, but we do realize one of the generating factors for us is gaining students. And I think that's part of the athletic department responsibility to do well, to showcase the university, and that lead us to more students in a recruiting effort. So our plan is to continue to bring in people like Canes, walk-ons, that were never part of the university, Exxon from an athletic department standpoint, that were never part of the university as corporate sponsors, to continue to grow that amount. Our hopes is also to continue to create ancillary events that we put in place. You see something like the Jaguar Den, that's a new exercise we put in place for home football games, where people can come and rent that space out and create revenue for the athletic department. And so we will continue to push ticket sales, where our ticket sales was up this year. We're actually ahead of the process as it relates to season tickets. And so in creating this whole new process, those things are in place where we can continue our daily operations and eat into the budget, the deficit of the budget.
And I did use the campaign as an example, political campaigning as an example. but you do have corporate level sponsorships that you have increased and you're trying to bring in more. So you're developing a capital campaign not solely around politics, but around other businesses that are in the area. Because people taunt that they love Southern University. My question is, are we asking them to give their money and put their money where their mouth is to support the athletic ventures?
We
That's
are.
the only
We
thing
are. I
I'm asking.
believe if you look at Get Our Foundation report is that I think that you'll see an increase over the last couple of years or more into the tune of $300,000, $400,000 of us generating that revenue with corporate sponsors.
And so all that's going to go towards this 1.2 million that was identified.
All of it would go toward the 1.2 million. I would say more of a percentage of, so we can cut into the budget, but we do still need those money to meet our obligations, our everyday operations.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
What's your
Chairman,
name again? I'm sorry.
Roman Banks.
I would also add, Ms. Williams, to what the athletic director has said. Maybe in March or April of this year, the board approved an increase in the institutional support amount to the Department of Athletics, which cut that deficit in half. It generated, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of $650,000. The state, as you know, places a cap on how much institutional support the institution can provide to the Department of Athletics, and we were well below that amount by comparison to some of the other state institutions. So that cut it in half, and based on what the athletic director has said in terms of redoubling their efforts to increasing corporate sponsorships, and I believe that he is considering and in discussions with others about how we can bring something to the board maybe in the next 30 to 60 days about how to further impact that.
And to leverage more dollars.
Yes,
because
ma'am,
I was
absolutely.
looking at, it was the expenditures that were increased versus the revenue that was increased. And so that's why I asked the question about how you're going to, because it's one thing to solve that debt, but are we putting measures in place that will not cause this to happen again is the question. And
Yes.
so you're saying yes.
Yes, we are, as the chair said, we're in communications right now of trying to put a plan together, present to the board to further help out the athletic department financially, where we won't have to have this problem year in and year out.
Mr. Chair,
Yes. Find out.
I do want to add this, if you would, Athletic Director Banks, if you could. I know that Ms. Williams mentioned a second ago about, the increases from going from one place. Could you just kind of explain, how you go about making decisions like this as far as retaining coaches and stuff, as far as the extra pay that you've given them?
So probably, as you see, so we have what we have of our incentive raises for our coaches, and we know that that's a competitive market. And I feel good to say that Southern University Athletics is back in the market of being one of the best universities as it relates to creating excitement for the students and for the alums across the country. That means finishing in the top order of winning championships, and that's what it's all about for us and graduating student athletes. And so when you start having successful coaches, you start to get challenged to keep those coaches. And we have put in place kind of a practice where if this coach win a championship, or he double down wins a conference championship and a conference tournament championship, we have a percentage of where we like to see that at 10%, so that we can stay competitive. And our coaches, I think, understand that we do the very best we can. And so there's a structure that we do have in place. But I want to be clear to everyone and be transparent. The president and I are working every day because there are some measures that will have to take place. And you see a couple of names in there. I think Rodney Kirshner and will have to take place because of our commitment with the NCAA that took place to put us back in a good position. And so we have some Title IX issues. We have some gender issues, all right, and we have some facility issues that all this have to be corrected by the time November 2021 comes back, so we won't find ourselves back on probation. And so there are some things structure-wise that we have to put in place that I was saying that will cause us to come here and give some merit raises to give some raises to what they call Olympic sports, what are your unrevenue sports that we have to put in place, so when they come in undressed us and go through us to get us off this total probation, that we won't have any problems and we can continue going forward. So some of these raises are due to coaches doing very well, and some of these raises are due by mandated by the NCA that we have to put in place until we come off this institution probationary period, where the president and I and finance know that there's a structure of time that we have made a deal with the NCA that we can put this in place all the way through. We just can't come out and give everybody $20,000 and $30,000 at one time. So they have allowed us to put a plan in place that we can do this over the next couple of years, some people every 6 months, that we have to take care of. We have a big problem. We had a big problem, an expense that we had to take care of that come out the blue that we did not know anything about with our soccer field. And so these are some things that we're taking care of now that should have been taken care of a long time ago as it relates to gender equity. And we had to throw something like $110,000 at that project right away because the NCA was coming on campus to evaluate us. And so these are some of the fights, some of the practice that's taking place that we have to continue to be on top of, have to continue to find ways to fund these until we get ourselves out of this probationary period, because that means when they come in November 21 that they're saying they're giving us 2 thumbs up. And not only that, they'll be on campus next month to make sure that these raises that we're doing now, these regional rules that they are mandating us to take everyone to, which is a heavy expense on us, that we are going to these places and they're making sure that these money come from this budget, in that budget. The president have a commitment that so much money has to come from his budget to do these things. And so my job is to make sure that we are bringing all these things together and being compliant, cutting to the budget as we deal with everyday operation expenses as well.
Any other comments? Mr. President, Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. And I just want to, first and foremost, commend AD Roman Banks in terms of just, trying to navigate the challenges before the Department of Athletics, particularly as it relates to the budget. As the chair pointed out, Southern University, A&M College, the state established a subsidy, an amount to which the university could support athletics. And in our case, of all the four-year institutions, I think we were the last in terms of our investment in athletics. And that is in part, or the deficit has come about in part because of the funding strategy for higher education in the state. And so when dollars were shifted to students, institutions were required then to begin to increase tuition. And when we increase tuition, then their scholarships increase as well. The university, in light of its challenges, then has never adjusted athletic fees, has never tried to mitigate those increases over time. And as a result, we have an ongoing challenge where our expenses, insurance, all of those ancillary expenses growing, but there's no new revenue coming to athletics. And so going forth, and as the chair of this committee made reference, we are in fact trying to develop a plan that's sustainable and one that would bring about reoccurring revenue to arrest that. And that may include consideration of increases in the athletic fee. We have not increased athletic fee in more than a decade. And our fee to date is probably lower than most institutions in the state. So we have not come to any definitive decisions, but clearly we're trying to put everything on the table such that we could bring sustainable funding to athletics.
Any other comments? Before I make my last comment, we have to be extra careful when we're dealing with politics. We are a public institution. We cannot get into endorsements or anything of that nature, but we can accept donations in that understanding that you are giving us donation without any strings attached for any political favors. So make sure we don't get caught up with that action. But we solicit and support for the system and for athletics and any other part of the system. It's very important that we do. With that said, as there has been moved and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, says nay. It passes. Item 7, other businesses. Are there any other businesses come before the athletic committee? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Have been moved and second. All in favor? Mr. Chairman, it has been approved for adjournment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Coach Banks, Coach Funches, I saw him in the lobby, but is Coach Jackson here this morning? Coach Funches, would you stand? They had an outstanding season this year. We want to give.
Coach Funches, Coach of the Year right here.
Absolutely.
First year taking over as head coach.
Well,
He was
let
with
him
us for
let him
16
come to
years.
the mic and talk.
I talk too much for him anyway.
Yeah, you have.
But Coach Jackson is he's gone with Major League Baseball, working on a funding project. So
Oh,
he's
very
with
good.
Major League.
Very good. Very good.
First of all, I would like to thank the board for this past year, for all your support. And, you know, we look forward to winning some more championships.
Us as well.
We have a great group of young ladies, both on the court and academically. Our APR is going to be 1,000 this year, so we just look forward to building. But thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Short and to the point. We like that, Coach Funches, and congratulations again. Dr. Abdullahi, you submitted a card regarding the Academic Affairs Committee, and I didn't receive the card until after the committee had adjourned, and you requested a postponement of items 6A and 6B. I don't see, oh, there he is. And I just want you to know that those items were postponed. We did not consider them today, and they will be taken up at next month's meeting pursuant to your request. Yes, sir, you're very welcome. We also want to remind members of the audience who may have come in after we started that if you wish to speak, we ask that you kindly fill out a comment card, which are at the table to your right when you enter the door. Thank you. Now we'll go now to Chairman Henry and our Facilities and Property Committee.
Good morning to everyone. The Facility and Property Committee is now called to order. Roll call vote, Mr. President.
Yes. Reverend Henry,
Present.
Dr. Whitfield, Mr. Bartholomew, Dr. Davis, Mr. Hilliard, Mrs. Smith, Attorney Rutledge. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. We need a motion to adopt the agenda. Been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any public comment at this time? Do we have any public comment on the agenda? Thank you very much. Seeing that there's none, we're going to move to agenda item number 5, information on our priority projects by the campuses by Mr. Eli Guillory. Very short.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and distinguished board members. In your package, you will find a list of projects that the system campuses has been moving rapidly on, and we are making steady progress with facilities planning and control along with the Board of Regents. We're approximately about a month and a few weeks behind schedule due to changes that facilities planning and the Board of Regents have made with their guidelines and procedures with moving these projects. But overall, we are moving in a very positive manner. Funding is being approved, and we are looking forward to additional construction and renovations of projects. In particular, project I would like to elaborate on is successful. We're coming to a closure for the A.W. Mumford Stadium renovations for the ADA compliance, F.G. Clark Activity Center, ADA compliance project, along with we've received approval to proceed with some exterior lighting around the softball field, baseball field, and F.G. Clark Activity Center for improvements. So we're looking to that, and some additional interior classroom lighting, exit lights, stairwell lights, and emergency lights for the Baton Rouge campus. The Ravine project upgrades along with the bridge and the road that has still been delayed due to the high water of the Mississippi River inundating the campus. From a safety standpoint, we are steady monitoring that stabilization along the river and the ravine for safety concern. Moving on to the Suno campus, we've increased the campus lighting budget to approximately $475,000. So that project is just about prepared for going out for bids, hopefully in a couple of weeks. So we are looking for that project to move forward. In terms of some of the renovations to the Natural Science Building build-out, that's successfully moving along, and meeting with the designers to put that project out for bids soon. Overall, the Shreveport campus, we are coming to an end on some of your deferred maintenance projects, ADA compliance, and some lighting, and then we would be moving forward to approximately $700,000 worth of mechanical upgrades for controls and equipment. Additionally, we will be proceeding with major renovations for Fisher Hall at the Baton Rouge campus for approximately $5.5 million. The designer was selected by the Facilities Planning Board, and we are looking forward to proceeding with that project in a few months. In terms of one of the requests from Dr. Davis is the athletics softball field. We've, along with the athletic director and designer, a master plan was developed, and we're looking at a budget of approximately $500,000. Some of the work has started to take place, such as the grandstand area for our Patriots, and concrete pouring. But in our master plan, we have a detailed breakdown of that, and it's just a matter of we are going to seek funding through capital outlay, along with the athletics director department for additional funding. So, on that note, if there are any questions,
We
feel
do
free
have
to
one
answer.
question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fondell?
Mr. Giller, I just want to, you have 121 projects, you're managing $142 million worth of projects within the southern system?
Yes, sir.
That have either ongoing or have been completed. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
That is correct.
Okay. My one other question is about the elevator at the mini dome. Has that project been completed? I know there's an elevator on one side. Were they putting
Right.
another one in on the other side?
We are, the elevator has been installed. We are coming to substantial completion for the entire project. We have some internal flooring to be installed next to that particular elevator. Hopefully, we will receive substantial completion at the end of July. We are on schedule for completing that entire project, but the elevator will be installed on the north end of the facility, along with ADA accessibility parking and passageway.
And has the project at at the stadium been completed for ADA? I know they were working on it
Yes,
last
sir.
year. Is
Right.
that all completed?
Not 100%.
Okay.
We are approximately about 92% because we've been granted additional funds to have change order for additional upgrades. So that project will be substantially completed in the July as well.
Okay, so in other words, those projects will be completed prior to football season?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The chair recognizes the chairman.
Thank you, Reverend Henry. I have an observation and a question. First, the observation. And I want to thank you all again for the work that you did at the lab school. I happened to be having lunch with an architect in Hammond about 3 weeks ago, and he mentioned Amite High School and Kentwood High School and some of the changes that have been made to their athletic facilities. And I said, will you email me some pictures? And he did. I think I sent them to Reverend Henry, and I think I sent them to Dr. Whitfield. Now, we beat up on Kentwood, you know, going and coming, right? And so I didn't want them to outdo us in our facilities also. So I hope they shared those photographs with you. But we're looking good, and we hope that we can do more in that regard. My question is, I have received, and I've discussed this with Dr. Belton, he tells me that you are working on this, but the road around the F.G. Clark Activity Center, particularly that area around by where the baseball office is in bad shape. What can we do? What plans do we have to fix that area?
We will put that a part of our capital outlay request. We have to just do a detailed study for the amount of dollars is for budget purposes. But in the meantime, we will be working closely to seek funding to address that problem, be if it's from the Baton Rouge campus funding or the state facilities planning capital outlay funding. One of the problems that we are having is that with the funding that we do have available for deferred maintenance, those dollars have pretty much been earmarked on buildings for the campuses, and we will seek some additional funding come after when the new year starts in July.
Go ahead, Dr. Robert. One of the things I thought we were working on is that there was some excess money on the F.G. Clark Activity Project, and that we would request permission to execute a change order to divert the excess revenue that we have from that project to fix the road. I think it's about $1 million.
Yes, sir. We have to, once the F.G. Clark project is finished, and meeting with FPNC and the Board of Regents on a couple of days ago, they will allow us to seek to use those remaining dollars through the Joint Legislative Committee under BA 7 to have those funds to use in that manner. And that's our intentions. Right now, because of the contract that's with the general contractor, he has obligations to finish. We have 2 more change orders to add to the project, and they wanted to make sure that we finish change order number 14 and 15. And once we have that taken care of, if it doesn't become a change order, then we will move on to request that we use those fundings to address any other major problems.
My final observation, Chairman Henry, is that is a high traffic area, and it's getting ready to become very high traffic in the next 90 days with the beginning of football season. As you know, people park over there, and it just does not reflect well on the institution to have that road in that condition for as long as it's been. You almost need a dump truck to drive through there. And I would, you know, I know the wheels of government turns real slow, but if there are some remedial measures that we can take, even with some temporary asphalt or something, to where people can safely navigate that road until we can get permission on the change order. I think that would go a long ways. But thank you very much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
The chair recognized the former chair the opportunity for rebuttal if she so chooses with this Kentwood issue. If not, we're going to go and we're going to recognize the future president of the United States, our new student member.
Good morning, Mr. Guillory. I just have a question. Are there any upgrades or renovations on your radar when it comes to the dormitories on the SUBR campus?
Yes, I do know that some upgrades are taking place now with the mechanical system, and I want to say in particular Bowley Hall. That's taking place, and then we are looking at future new housing development for the campus.
Oh, do we have any other questions? Seeing that there's none, any other business? One more question, Doctor.
Thank you for recognizing
Yeah.
me,
Yes.
Reverend Henry. Mr. Guillory,
Yes, sir.
I don't believe, being an old procurement man, I like to follow the status of all of these projects, starting from design phase to completion. I don't think we got a digital copy of these in the board packet prior to actually getting here to the meeting. Is it possible,
Yes.
Mr. President, Mr. Guillory, that we could have that? I like to stew over it, I'm sorry. I like to have a
Yes,
couple
sir.
of days to stew over it and see what the progress is.
I know that a list of the projects has been submitted in the, one of the comment areas. It provides the status of projects, could be percentage of completion, and if it's in the planning phase, but I could be a little bit more detailed to with that.
I might be the only board member that that's a real concern for. But if, since it's digitally prepared anyway, I'd be real privileged if indeed I'd get a copy of it.
Yes, sir.
A week or as soon as you get it ready.
Yeah.
We will see to it. Okay. Oh, we're going to move on. Any other business for the facility committee? Seeing that there's none, the chair will entertain the motion to adjourn. It's been moved and second. Meeting is adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Henry. We now go to Finance Committee, Chairman Tarver. I just want to remind members that there is an updated Finance Committee agenda, and so we want to make sure that you are, the agenda that's in the staple packet that's before you is not the correct agenda, so you should have a single sheet that reflects the accurate agenda. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee is now called to order. Roll call, Mr. President.
Yes. Dr. Tarver?
Here.
Mr. Hilliard? Dr. Davis? Dr. Gaines?
Here.
Mr. Gilliam?
Here.
Mrs. Williams? Attorney Rutledge? You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda. All those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so have it. Item 4, public comments. Are there any public comments on items of this agenda, Finance Committee, at this time? Hearing none. Pardon? Hearing none, we move on to action item 5. We have a number of items, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. What is your pleasure?
Motion to approve in global.
Second.
There's a motion, and a second to approve in global items 5A through G. Any opposition? Any question? All of those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So I have it, thank you. Next item 6 of the business, any other business at this time? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Tarver. Rather efficient presentation of the Finance Committee. We move quickly now to our Governance Committee. Chairman Gillum.
Okay, where are we? Just a moment, sir. Let me catch up with everybody. Get me there. Yeah, they got me too fast on that one. You got the government fast up. Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. President, would you please give us a roll call?
Mr. Gillum,
Here.
Dr. Talbot, Dr. Gaines. Here. Reverend Henry,
Present.
Attorney McGee, Dr. Tolbert, Attorney Rutledge. Here. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chair is open for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we would adopt the agenda as presented before us. Those in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Okay, the agenda is thus adopted. Item number 4, will there be any public comment regarding anything on the agenda before the Governance Committee? Seeing no one approach the podium, we'll go down to action items, and we have, 3 of them. We have action item 5 through C. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move that action item 5, A, B, and C be approved in global.
Second. I have a motion and a second that action items A, B, and C would be approved as presented before us. Those in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, this motion and these items are thus adopted. We're down to item number 6, other business. Is there any other business to be brought before the Governance Committee? Hearing none, we move down to item number 7. What's your pleasure?
Move adjournment.
Been moved that we adjourn, and second?
Second.
Okay, moved and second that we adjourn. The Governance Committee, Mr. Chairman, now stands adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Gillum. We move now to Legal Affairs. Chairman Shorty.
Mr. President, can I get a roll call? Yeah, present. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Do we have any public comments on today's agenda? Seeing no one with public comments, I'm going to move on to action item 5, approval of the legal contract for DeQueer, Clark, and Adams.
Second. I second.
Moved along. I love it. I love it. This is the first one I've done, so that's
Yeah.
approved.
Well, you need to carry the motion. All
So the
those
motion is, any discussion on the motion?
I didn't see the agenda till I got here this morning, this one. And I was wondering well, I guess I can't ask Mr. DeQueer, so I'm going to ask Mr. We are approving the contract for the attorney to be extended,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
and we don't look at any other firms. We can just do this without advertising or anything?
Correct, we can.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Move the previous question.
Move the previous question. Can I,
That mean we vote.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Action item 6, any other business?
Second.
Any second?
Thank you, Chairman Shorty.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. We move now to Personnel Affairs. Chairman McGee.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. The Personnel Affairs Committee of the Southern University Board of Supervisors is called to order. Roll call vote. Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Attorney McGee,
Here. Up, roll call, Mr. President.
Mr. Bartholomew, Dr. Gaines, Mr. Gillum, Dr. Tarver, Ms. Williams, Attorney Rutledge. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, if we take a look at the agenda, Dr. Williams, it appears as though if the agenda that I'm looking at is accurate, being that there's more than one, number, action item 5A8 and 5A10, are those, is that the same person?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I would ask that for a motion for the adoption of the agenda excluding action 5A10 if they are the same. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
10 and 9, I'm sorry.
Do we have a second? Thank you. All in favor, please respond by signifying aye. Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, we'll move on to public comments. Any public comments? Seeing no public comments, we'll move on to action items 5A, 1 through 9. Do we have a motion? I can't hear you.
Question.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna offer the motion and then we'll get into discussion on all of them instead of going through them one by one. One through 9, and we have a second. Awesome. Discussion. Any questions?
Question.
Brother Gillum.
Question directed to the AD regarding, let's see, it's item on my sheet anyway, items 3, 4, 6, and 7. The question is probably a simple one. Mr. Roman Banks, if he's still here. The first question is.
Could you speak into the mic?
I'm so sorry. Thank you very much.
Make sure his mic is on.
Am I on? I'm good. Thank you. The question I'm raising, Mr. Banks, is those, 4 items that I just mentioned, do they help us, one, address the mandates of the NCAA that you referred to earlier in responding to Ms. Williams? That's the first question, but let me get through. You can answer all of them together. And the second question is, are these same recommendations, or should I say adjustments in salaries for these individuals, are they helpful with us in furthering the cause of meeting Title IX requirements? Okay. And of course, the fourth one is, do they help us in our pursuit of gender equity? Because as I look at it, and you never can tell by looking at names a lot of times, but they all appear to be men.
Yes. So we were able to get approved, and also I thought it was deserving. And to answer your question, yes, all these raises, except the 2, except Coach Jackson and Coach Funches, meet a portion of our NCAA mandates. And so we're been able to, it's a provision by them with, you call it other race. And we do have a measure in here where that addresses, without saying the creed, but that addresses that problem that the NCAA allows that as an equity solution as well. And we also made some other adjustments to unrevenue sports that were below the threshold to make sure the threshold of 60,000 to ensure the NCAA practice. So we did. And besides, to sum it up, besides Coach Jackson and Coach Funches, all the raises that we're bringing to the board has everything to do with NCAA mandates.
Okay. And throughout the department, of course, we're addressing the needs for gender equity.
Yes, sir. And so we will continue, as part of that solution, we have to continue, and we are basically doing it between now and June this year, in January, so we go into the fiscal year. You see everything starts in the fiscal year.
Yes.
And so we will probably be coming back in a 6-month period again to address a couple more issues.
Just want to put it on your mind.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Dr. Tarver? Outstanding. All in favor of moving forward with action items 5A through A through 7 or 10. I keep looking at the wrong agenda. I'm sorry, Dr. Williams.
the majority of the board do not have the entire agenda.
Right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, we'll move to item number 6, any other business? Seeing that there are no other business, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Now, we will quickly call to order the Southern University Board of Supervisors. Dr. Belton, roll call.
Yes. Attorney Rutledge,
Here.
Dr. Tolbert, Ms. Bartholomew, Dr. Davis, Mr. Dunbar, Mr. Fundell, Dr. Gaines, Mr. Gillum, Reverend Henry, Mr. Hilliard, Attorney McGee,
Here.
Attorney Shorty, Mrs. Smith, Dr. Tarver, Dr. Whitfield, Mrs. Williams, Miss Williams, forgive me.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Thank you.
You do have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Public comments. I have a comment card from Dr. Abdullahi regarding item 6C, the 6CA, the Southern University and Baton Rouge Strategic Plan Imagine 2030. Dr. Abdullahi.
Thank you. Good morning, President Belton and Honorable Chairman Rutledge. Thank you for this opportunity. I just wanted to mention on behalf of the Faculty Senate, we would like to support item 6CA, which is the approval of the strategic plan, Imagine 20K. The Faculty Senate had the opportunity to hear from Dr. Belton. He presented the strategic plan, and it was well received. So it's my opportunity to just say that we are thankful that was shared, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdullahi. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Seeing none, we go now to our special presentations, the Above and Beyond Award. Dr. Devazan.
Good morning, everyone. I would like this opportunity to discuss an individual who selflessly gave of himself to our colleague. As you know, a week ago, Dr. Donna M. Grant, Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, passed away. But prior to her passing, we had an employee who none of us knew was going there every day, every morning, to fix breakfast for our colleague, to make sure her clothes were washed, to make sure she was comfortable, to take care of the daily operations for Dr. Donna Grant. And again, this employee did this without ever uttering a word of his service to our colleague. So as they say, let the works that I've done speak for me. I would like to honor Mr. James Rowley for what he has done for our colleague. So on this morning, I would like to recognize Mr. James Rowley for the Above and Beyond Award.
if you will join us here, we would like to present to you, Mr. Riley, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors and the entire system, this Above and Beyond Award and appreciative acknowledgement for you and the work that you do here at Southern University of New Orleans, and particularly in your support of Dr. Grant. God bless you. Okay, we're going to take it.
Hold on, y'all, hold on. Sorry.
That was really nice of you, sir.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations again, Mr. Riley. Item 5B, the legislative update. Dr. Merritt.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of the board. I think the legislative update, Dr. Renee is disseminating that in just a few moments. We did something in writing for you, so you would be able to take this going forward after today to be mindful of what has occurred during this 2019 legislative session, which the most important thing that we are pleased to announce is that this is the first time in 10 years that we've had a full investment in higher education funding in Louisiana. So we all left the Capitol on June 6th, very excited about that. In addition to that, we received additional funding for the university on the tune of about $5.2 million for Southern University that will be outside of the formula. Dollars for capital outlay for new projects that we are looking forward to, as well as our Fisher Hall project that you heard Mr. Guillory speak on just earlier. And our new science building, we've got the planning dollars in place this year for that project as well, so we'll be looking forward to that coming into fruition. And a rendering of that is at the bottom of the page. Want to also point out that one of our goals this year was to seek full equitable funding for our ag program. While we did not achieve equitable funding in the sense that we were hoping to achieve that, we were able to secure an additional $800,000 for the agricultural program, and of course Dr. Walker is very pleased about that. So that's additional dollars that are coming to us this year that we had not received in previous years. Going forward, we have letters of thanks to each member of the legislature, including the governor, to thank them for what they've done for us this legislative session. Those letters will be going forward this week. We were also pleased to point out that we received additional exposure at the Capitol this year. We were very mindful of the ways that we were plugging ourselves into things that were happening at the university where we could bring individuals before the legislature. We were able to do that with our baseball team, our women's basketball team, for SUBR, as well as the Southern University at New Orleans track team as well. We got a chance to present them. They were all champions this academic year, so we had that opportunity. In addition, it was the first time that we had a full HBCU day at the Capitol, where we pointed shined the spotlight, I should say, on all of the state's historically black colleges and universities, to include Dillard and Xavier and Grambling, and of course the 5 campuses of Southern University coming together on one day. That was historic for us, and we're looking to do that again. In fact, on next year, we're likely to do both an HBCU day as well as our own Southern University Day, Mr. Dunbar. You made it a point to share that with us, that it was great to join in with our fellow HBCUs, but we certainly wanted to have our own day the way we've typically had that in the past. On the back of that sheet that we prepared for you, you will see just some selected items of legislation that were passed that were germane to the university. This is not all of the bills that we were watching and tracking this session, but these are some of the highlighted bills, as well as the bills that affect medical marijuana. So I think we're in a good place. We are preparing to go into election season. I think Ms. Williams, you pointed that out, and we're also working, Mr. Fondell is working with us and leading our SU Votes initiative. And so you'll hear more about that on next month in terms of our blueprint and how we'll be engaging all of our campuses and our students in the electoral process going forward for this fall in a very bipartisan way. I want to point that out. And also want to publicly thank all of the board members who were with us, you all in your confirmation hearings on earlier this month, I believe it was earlier in June, or was it late May? Either way, all the days sort of merged together. But you all made a united front sitting before the Senate Governmental Affairs Committee. And also publicly thank our students for coming in and testifying on a number of bills before several committees in House Education as well as Senate Education. So that is our legislative update for 2019. We'll be happy to entertain any questions if there are any.
Any questions? Any questions of Dr. Murray? Mrs. Smith?
I'm looking at the flyers.
Yes, ma'am.
Very well done and very informative. I'd like to know who designed the science building at the bottom. Really nice.
It is Williams & Williams Architecture DP Partners, Mr. Guillory. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Okay. It's not a part of something.
No, we simply took that photograph, and our wonderful graphic designer in the Office of Communications and our communications team did this layout for us. So we lifted that photo and added it, just so you can have an idea of what that the $500,000 that we're receiving this year. The planning will go into this building, and this is how it will look.
Dr. Davis, did that complete your comments, Mrs. Williams? Mrs. Smith? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Just let me know when you want to be recognized. Dr. Davis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Mayor. I also want to echo my colleague from Kentwood.
The pride of Kentwood.
Pride of Kentwood. Queen of Kentwood. But anyway, I know we had some stalwart supporters on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, sir.
But looking forward, I know there's some term limits. Are there any key people that we might lose that we may have to make sure we get out and campaign to keep whoever we need to keep? I'd like to be talking to you about that later, because those of you who stood in the gap for us, we don't want to lose those, and I know we might lose one or two. Thank you.
So yes, sir, we are watching. Qualifying for the upcoming fall elections will be in August, and so we'll be looking to see who is where in terms of who'll be vying for those positions, and of course we'll be tracking that information throughout the fall for the October 12th election, and I think the general election is November the 11th or somewhere there's about.
Mr. Fondell.
Thank you. Also, I know we have one of our senators here, and also the work that you've done along with our members here with our Black Caucus also. So I would ask that we would recognize our senator that is here today.
Absolutely. Senator Wesley Bishop, I saw you walk in the room. There you are. Thank you, sir. I must give full credit that the HBCU Day initiative was born completely out of the HBCU Advisory Council that Senator Bishop authored legislation for on last year. And so he charged us as head of that commission to do this work, and he's charged us to continue to do it. And so he was certainly leading that charge with us this year. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments? Any other questions for Dr. Merrick? Thank you, Dr. Merrick, and we certainly thank the legislators who have supported the institution over the years. There were a great showing of legislators last night at our reception, and we certainly appreciate their presence. I will say that of a lot of the success that we enjoyed in this session of the legislature, I'm very excited about the potential in Senate Concurrent Resolution 77, which was sponsored by Senator Bishop,
Yes.
to potentially expand our stellar School of Nursing here to the Southern University at New Orleans campus. And so I think that that's a game changer for this campus and for our program in more ways than one. And so we look forward to the results of that. I guess that's going to be a study that's going to be undertaken. And we today approved the new dean of the School of Nursing, Dr. Sandra Brown. I don't see her here. She's not here. So we expect great things from that, and we thank you for your leadership, Senator Bishop. Thank you. Now we move now to our action item 6A, approval of the May 2019 minutes. Is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Approval of the committee reports and recommendations.
Offered. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Now, members, I would ask your indulgence. There are a number of items on here that we probably can dispose of in a motion in global, but the president has asked that each chancellor briefly present from about a 40,000-foot level their strategic plan, and we're going to go in the order in which we're listed on the program. So we will begin. Sir? Oh, Dr. Penning will come first, and then we'll be led. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
3 to 4 minutes each.
Dr. Penning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the chairman, to the vice chair, Mr. President, to members of the distinguished Southern University Board of Supervisors, to our faculty, staff, students, alumni who are watching, I say good morning to you. I present to you the President's vision, Fulfilling a Promise, that's being passed around right now. Also, there should be a handout, and I'll be very brief about it beyond saying that the mere title speaks to our commitment to that historical mission where we meet every single student precisely where they are, and we bring them across the finish line, meaning that we matriculate them, we graduate them, we provide them with those wraparound services they need to graduate, and not just graduate into the workforce, but to become those scholars and student leaders that we have created to meet the challenges of a 21st century global economy. The strategic planning process, again, I give the president all the credit. He brought everybody together. All 5 campuses were united in New Orleans in November. We had a chance to completely have a 2-day retreat where every campus then went back and aligned their individual current strategic plans to the common metrics that we're collectively looking at in Fulfilling a Promise. Following that, this board was very gracious, approving the working draft at the November Bayou Classic meeting last November in 2018. The plan was immediately posted on the website where we gave the entire world an opportunity to provide feedback, and feedback we did receive. The President Chancellor also spoke at our faculty convocation not just past spring, speaking to the faculty members, and you heard one of the faculty members today speak to and attest to the level of engagement that was done with members of the faculty. The President Chancellor also spoke to members of the alumni group all over the nation, and a number of them are listed: Houston, Los Angeles, Dallas, so on and so forth, Chicago, and of course met with governmental local business leaders in affording them the opportunity to really weigh in on Fulfilling a Promise. The copy is before you right now. It contains 7 powerful strategic goals. I would just list them very briefly: commitment to student access and affordability, academic excellence and student success, institutional effectiveness and accountability, scholarly research, discovery, and entrepreneurship, fundraising and philanthropy, improving campus life and infrastructure, and of course, promoting the Southern University brand. And I'll conclude by saying what the chairman, I recall when he took office, he mentioned: it's all about accountability. This plan is a metrics-driven plan. There's a scorecard, which we will come back in July and share the scorecard on each and every one of the metrics that we presented. President Chancellor has made it very clear, in the areas where we come up short, as Sachs reminds us, it's all about continuous improvement. We will know those areas, we will put corrective action plans in motion, and we will make sure that we engage that in the next planning cycle so that we beef up those areas as we move forward. I'll pause here and take any questions on Fulfilling a Promise.
Any questions for Dr. Penny? They're afraid you're going to extend your remarks, I guess.
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. President, any? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Imagine 20,000 is a strategic plan for the Baton Rouge campus. That began in 2017. It was initially a facilities campus master plan. Everybody will recall the idea was 20,000 students initially by the year 2027. We extended that to the year 2030. So unlike the system strategic plan that goes to 2025, Imagine 20K is extended to the year 2030. We have very aggressive measures in that. It was well processed through the strategic planning process. I mentioned the stakeholder groups that were engaged. And I want to emphasize that we heard from the stakeholders. And as a result, 3 additional goals were added to the 7 that I mentioned. And those 3 goals are campus technology. We recognize that for Southern University Baton Rouge to achieve 20,000 students, that would have to be a mix of on-campus students and online students. I recall when I was in school, we had close to 10,000 to 11,000 students. The difference of 8,000 to 9,000 students would have to come through the online process, and that's why our investment in campus technology is so critical. The next one is human capital. I dare say that everybody knows investing in people is what this is about. And when I say investing in people, the President Chancellor has made it a priority to invest in our faculty, our staff, and most importantly, in our students. And finally, the 3rd goal that was added is quality customer service. I don't need to say too much about it. We all recognize that we can do better in quality customer service. I'm looking at our new board member, the Honorable Mr. Dunbar, and he's nodding his head. We will endeavor, we will show the demonstration. There will be a survey that we will do annually where we will present the scorecard each year for everyone to see, identify those areas. We will go back to those areas, put corrective action plans, and hopefully come the following year to show that those metrics are improving. On that note, Mr. President, I will pause and be happy to take any questions.
Okay, I understand Mrs. Williams had a question.
I do, more or less a comment. This is outstanding, but I want to go back to the one you proposed for the system.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to ask this question: is there any? And this is great.
Fulfill it.
But everybody should have the same. SUNO, SUSLA, the Law Center, all. Is there a plan that would do something that would be inclusive? And I'm talking about launching a program. The LCTCS system, as you are aware, does a CWD program, which allows us to get a certification at the end. But it teaches those that want to be in leadership. It takes you around the state to learn different best practices. And fortunately, the Southern University Shreveport system is allowed to participate. But is there any thought pattern to a Leadership Southern? We are the only historical black college and university system in the country. Do we have anything that's preparing our leaders? And I mean, I'm not talking about a one-day retreat.
Yes.
I'm talking about a 6-month plan that would allow chancellors and those people that they appoint on their individual campuses an opportunity to take 2 to 3 days across the state of Louisiana, learning best practices and owning the strategic initiative plan, because this is a strategic initiative plan for the system. Yes. And I understand that each college is required to do something for their own according to their demographics, but we have to embrace this first.
Yes.
And so my question is, in all of these goals, is there something that would speak to allowing a Leadership Southern program to start? And that way, not only are we equipping those that are in leadership, but we are preparing those that would like to be in leadership. Mr. President?
I am very much aware of the model that is annually advanced by the Louisiana Technical Community College System. It is one that really enables the entirety of the system to network, to learn from one another, and to share in best practices that each campus could benefit from. And certainly that's something we have in the past facilitated those type of sessions, but more focused on data, governance, and things of that nature. But in keeping with your comments, I think it would be a great idea for us to do something similarly. It actually could in part replace the retreat that we have historically done, bring more comprehensiveness to that, and again, learn from each other along the way. So certainly I think that's something that we would adopt as a system going forward.
And the only reason I'm asking that is because we speak of a system, and then we have different people doing different things, but we all know that a house divided against itself can't stand. And so in order for us to stand together, we have to all understand the same message and own that message, and then take this message to develop other messages amongst our schools as it pertains to that area, because the needs at Susla may be different from the needs at SUNO academically, but the needs totally financially and everything else is the same everywhere we go, because we are a historical black college system. And so we meet different challenges. And that would just be my suggestion, that along with this strategic initiative, that you would develop a Leadership Southern program that would allow leaders, prospective leaders, those that are thinking about leaders, an opportunity to learn best practices across the state of Louisiana.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any other comments or questions of Dr. Penning before we move to our presentations? Okay. The only thing that I would ask Dr. Penning, and this is for all of the chancellors also to consider this, for my own ease of reference and for the board's ease of reference, I thought I may have seen this in one of your earlier presentations.
Yes,
But I'd like Dr. Belton, if you would direct appropriately, the creation of a scorecard, a simple scorecard
Yes.
that I can look at. So if I'm concerned about where Susla is in the implementation of its strategic plan, I don't have to go through the entire plan, but I can look at the scorecard and say, okay, it's June 2020.
Yes.
And in this plan, Susla said that they would have implemented the following. They should be here, okay? And then you can cross-reference based on the scorecard, which should be user-friendly to look at. And you can look at, okay, have they delivered? Are they on track?
Yes, sir.
And I would also, Dr. Belton, like to see some placement on the agenda at appropriate intervals, such that everybody is accountable to and present as to where they are or where they're supposed to be, based on what their own strategic plan says, based upon what the scorecard says. And if they are there, great. Let's figure out how we did it and how we can replicate it in other places. And if they haven't arrived where they're supposed to be, why? And let's see if we can deploy the appropriate resources to fix it.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
And Mr. Chairman, the scorecard you reference is on page 46 of it. That's the scorecard that will be coming next month that we will extract. Very
Great.
simple. It lists exactly
I
what each
thought I had
metric.
seen it, so-
Yes, sir.
Great.
So for each of the objectives in there, we will
Great, great.
Thank you, sir.
qualify those for each of the campuses.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
That is correct, Mr. President.
If you're not measuring, you're not managing. Isn't that right, Dr. Ammons? All right, now, we'll go now to Susla. Dr. Ellis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will quickly take you through our presentation. You are being passed out a draft copy of the revised strategic plan that aligns with the system strategic plan. You're also being passed out the presentation that is also on the screen that you can look at, and I'll just hit a couple of key slides. So on page 2, you will see the strategic goals for Susla. They are cultivate a culture of academic excellence, strengthen the academic and co-curricular experience, provide an outstanding campus climate to all stakeholders, connect and engage the community, improve resources, infrastructure, and facilities, ensure short and long-term financial stability, and ensure quality and accountability. Thank you. On slide 3, you will see how each of those goals align with the goals of the system. Our 7 goals as well as the 7 goals of the system. And this is actually on the presentation, the PowerPoint. Yeah, so next slide. So that's the alignment there, and each goal may align with one or more of the system goals. On the very next slide, we get into a little bit more detail. We show how each goal and objective aligns with the strategic goals of the system. You can cross-reference those by goal 1, objective 1.1, strategy 1.12 as an example.
The O is for objective, the S is for strategy. We will go down to, I'm just going to skip for the sake of time to slide 10. It says, it really shows some specific strategies that we have put in place, are putting in place to cultivate the culture of academic excellence, goal number 1. In particular, we have embarked on a contract with Noel Levis to assist with strategic enrollment management. They'll be coming on campus in the next week and working with us over the next 6 months to see how we can strategically improve enrollment. And there are other strategies there. For the sake of time, I won't talk about those. On goal 2, if you go down to slide 14, strengthen academic and co-curricular experiences, goal 2, there are achievement strategies. In addition to Noel Levis, we will be working with Complete College America to assist with strategic retention management. One of the keys to improving enrollment is to really tackle our retention, and we'll be enlisting some support from Noel Levis, but primarily Complete College America to assist with that. And there are some initial strategies. For the sake of time, I won't hit those. On slide 16, we talked about goal 3, provide an outstanding campus climate to all stakeholders. This coming year, we will be instituting a human relations committee made of a cross-section of employees on campus to really delve into how we improve human relations, employee relations, and morale on campus. Goal 4 is on slide 18. It's connect and engage community. One of the key strategies there is the establishment of an institutional advisory board, and I am currently working with my chief advancement officer to identify key folks in the business community, local and nationally, that may have some connection to SUSLA and interested in lending their intellectual capital to help us form strategies and create partnerships to lead the institution forward. Goal 5, strategies, improve resources, infrastructure, and facilities. The key strategy there is really focusing on a preventive maintenance plan. We talk about deferred maintenance, but we need preferred maintenance sometimes because we haven't focused on a preventative maintenance plan, and we're going to put more resources there. Goal 6, if we go down to slide 24, is ensure short and long-term financial stability. And again, we really pumped up efforts to seek out grants as well as other private sector resources, strategies 1 and 2, in addition to some other things that we're doing. And finally, for strategies on goal 7, that is on slide 27, and that goal talks about ensuring quality and accountability. And consistent with what you mentioned, Chairman Rutledge, we are instituting and beginning a process to execute what's called an annual accreditation readiness assessment. So we're always ready for accreditation. Inclusive of that is an assessment of the strategic plan annually, where we look at data as well as qualitative measures, so that we're always ready for accreditation and that we're always prepared to know where we are relative to performance and make adjustments accordingly. That concludes my plan.
Thank you, Chancellor Ellis. Any questions, comments of Chancellor Ellis? Seeing none, we move now to Dr. Mims-Devizan.
Good morning. Presented before you is the strategic plan for Southern University at New Orleans. I'd like to first take this opportunity to thank President Belton and Dr. Peening for their assistance in ensuring that the Southern University at New Orleans strategic plan
aligns with the Southern University System's strategic plan. In our strategic plan, on page 17, you will see the goals that Southern University at New Orleans has before you. Goal 1 being the continuing to develop and expand the student recruitment, admissions, and enrollment strategies. And with this effort, we have, I'll give you an example of some things that we've done. We have branched out to other countries and regions as well as states, prepared MOUs such as with the state of California to attract their high school as well as the community college students to Southern University at New Orleans. We're working with Australia, and we will be taking a trip in August to Puerto Rico for recruitment efforts to ensure that we are dealing with recruitment. We're changing some of the standards in how we address applications and the admissions process, as well as our enrollment strategies. Goal 2, continuing to create financial stability and growth. We are, at this time, looking at strategies and ways to improve our fiscal and financial health by taking a look at various strategies which will incorporate some ideas and suggestions that may be uncomfortable, but we realize that we have to make these budget cuts to ensure that we maintain our financial standing, stability, and that we're moving the university forward in the best and positive manner. Our goal 3, continuing to build institutional capacity to support teaching, research, and service. Our faculty for many years have expressed the desire and the want to have items such as incentivizing the extra compensation for faculty members. So one of the strategies that we will employ will be to increase that extra compensation from 20 to 25%, as well as develop a plan that would reward the academic programs by redistributing a portion of the indirect costs back to the academic programs of the principal investigator. And I would like to thank the faculty who are here. These are strategies that came directly from them, so we made sure that all input we received from the various areas was a part of this strategic plan, and that everyone had ownership in the strategic plan is to enhance our goals and objectives. Goal 4 deals with the continuing to enhance student success and competitive edge in academic excellence in career pursuits. With this particular goal, we are making sure that we address those measures that will afford our students the opportunity to be successful. As you know, just recently, some of our graduates, Mr. Sean Ferguson, was appointed as police chief for the city of New Orleans, and we had our own Dr. Carmen Walters, who was appointed the president of Tougaloo College. So we are further advancing and enhancing our goal 4 to enhance student success and competitive edge in academic excellence and career pursuits. And we are also looking at other measures to improve this, such as our programs and looking at innovative programs to enhance what we are doing here at Southern University at New Orleans. Our goal 5, continuing to enhance institutional effectiveness and accountability. We are ensuring that we put in those strategies and goals that will show and demonstrate to everyone that we will continue to maintain compliance with our accrediting bodies and agencies, and we are ensuring that we utilize programs such as our honorary Center for Undergraduate Excellence for the young men, demonstrating their capacities, their worth and value, not only to the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana, but their value and worth to the world. And knowing that no matter what walk of life you come from, through proper attainment of education, you can and you will succeed. Our last goal, goal 6, continuing to enhance global engagement and service. We are really taking a look at where Southern University at New Orleans needs to be in terms of continuing to have a footprint, not just in the state of Louisiana, but nationwide. We're looking at enhancing our online programs and bringing on a coordinator that will encourage, assist, and help the faculty creating those curricula that are unproblematic for the diverse learners that we will serve. As well, we have Dr. Eade, as you all recall, back in March, put forward MOU to have collaborative commitments with institutions in Egypt. From that, the Museum Studies program journeyed to Egypt this past April. It was a success. We're also again looking at other MOUs globally to enhance the footprint of Southern University at New Orleans as well as the Southern University system. I'm trying to keep this brief. That concludes our goals. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments of Dr. Mims-Devizan? Seeing none, thank you very much. A cell phone has lost its owner, and it may be redeemed with the chairman for $250 cash. So if anybody has lost their cell phone, it's up here. Now we move to Chancellor Pierre.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our presentation is brief. Basically, I want to draw the attention to the board to the actual appendices that deal with the various measures of success, and within this larger system plan, basically our measures are relatively smaller than the rest of the institutions within the system. Number one, in terms of helping the system fulfill its promise under this plan, we intend to increase the number of professional degrees that are actually awarded from the Law Center from a base year amount of 163 to 185 by 2024, 2025, recognizing that in the larger world there's no great demand for us to increase our professional degree award numbers by such a great amount. I see Mr. Shorty over there smiling. He says, okay, I can tolerate that, right? The second thing, which we spent a lot of time talking about over the last board meeting, of course, is that pass rate for first-time test takers and for ultimate test takers, where we want to incrementally increase those numbers each and every year. That first-time number has been for a long time, the history of the institution, sort of the one weakness, but we know that our folks ultimately pass the bar within a relatively short period of time, so we want to raise those numbers so that ultimately we are in a better position. As you recall from our last board meeting, we show where we were and compared with the number of schools across the nation with much higher tuition and LSAT and GPA requirements. I was in Denver last week and met with the managing director of the ABA, Barry Currier, where they first rolled out their operational plan in terms of implementing their new ABA standard. And we already know that the numbers for next year's reports already sunk in. I can tell you that we are above the ABA standard numbers for actually the next 2 years. We should be right above them. So we've been watching that data very closely, and so we try to stay 2 years ahead of everybody else. The others obviously is relating to raising the number of students that are placed in jobs and career opportunities as early as possible within 10 months. And then the big piece, which I keep a constant watch over with the help of Mr. Hall and his direction and Ms. George, is the financial health index.
which relates to the current ratios, working capital numbers, because without an unrestricted net position, because without the strong finance in the competitive environment that we are in, we cannot achieve any other goals. It really starts with we got to have the resources every day, every moment, because the game keeps changing every day, and we got to be able to pivot and be able to really compete nationally now and really internationally with all of the things that are happening in the changing environment that we're in. So, you know, we believe that we appreciate the work that Dr. Peening has worked with us to help craft these indicators within the system, and of course our own strategic plan deals with that. We're going to tweak it a little bit to be a little bit more specific, but we have those same goals in mind, so that as we come through the accreditation process with SACS, COC, and the ABA, that they're very, very clear to everyone where we're going and what we're doing. So if there are no further questions, that concludes my presentation as it relates to that.
Any questions or comments of Chancellor Pierre? Seeing none, now we go to Dr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to start to thank President Chancellor Dr. Ray Belton and Dr. Vladimir Peening for the great work. And as you know, that the College of Agricultural, Family Consumer Sciences and the Ag Center are linked. We have 5 goals in our plan. Dr. Robert Renee is passing those out. We are very focused and passionate about doing our part. The chairman mentioned about the scorecard. We do not want to be found wanting when the scorecard is posted next year. So we are actively making sure that we are not in the rear. I would like to say that we had over 80 participants in 5 groups. We have 5 goals, and they link to all 7 goals of the Southern University system. Dr. Peening mentioned 3 more. I wrote them down, and I would say that in the next rendition of ours, all of those will be linked with our 5 goals. We had a public comment period, a retreat, final phase, an implementation phase, and in December we'll have a mid-year assessment. As you know that Dr. Rydia Walker have left in May, we have already told her, Dr. Andre Johnson, Dr. Patan, and I have already told her that she will not go away. We will bring her back to get the campus data for the Ag Center in the college to make sure that we are on point. So when Dr. Peening asks for this data, that we'll have it at hand. And what are we doing for the pathway to promise? We are encouraging faculty, researchers, and staff to continue to seek external funding, especially to help our Baton Rouge campus. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting at 1 o'clock today of Ag Center personnel and how we can help the Baton Rouge campus. And especially since Dr. Belton had given me a document at the USDA meeting about a grant proposal. So we have the College of Science faculty as well as Ag Center faculty are working on that starting at 1 o'clock. Also, what we are doing to help with the pathway to promise is we're reminding faculty about deadlines. And one of the unique things about the College of Agriculture and the Ag Center, most of our faculty members write grants. It's probably well over 50%. And we're looking at, and I was thinking one day, we ought to try to adopt a colleague. That means some of the other colleges that have faculty and staff that do not write grant, we probably need to adopt them because there's a pedagogy that they have that can help us, to help us generate dollars, as Dr. Peening data suggests, number of proposals, number of dollars, and how much we receive. So we can play a great role in helping other faculty in writing grants by being co-investigators. We are also looking at ways to ask our alumni to continue to give. Thanks to the AD, he has been gracious enough to give us a day, one of the home games, and we're going to use this to invite our alumni And when they do come, we want them to bring their wallet and their purses to Southern University to give back. And we find that students, alum give if they give into a particular program. If you say give it to Southern University, they may not want to give. I found that out from a rodeo 2 years ago. We got over $5,000 when we asked alum that give it to the College of Agriculture. They gave. But if you tell them to give to Southern University, they kind of balk a little bit. And that's a national trend. And when you start being a little bit more specific to some of your alums, they tend to give more. And Dr. Andre Johnson has did a good job with seeking private donations, contracts, as it relates to water, and we hope that will continue to mature. And other things that we want to make this promise a reality is that for the first time in 30 years, our summer programs, dual enrollment, students that have 18 in math, 19 in math, 18 in English, they can get dual enrollment credit. So we are bringing that back because we know dual enrollment is very important to the Baton Rouge campus. Dr. Johnson is doing some great work, our Vice Chancellor for Research with the hemp. And we also will be looking to have a hemp conference in August to try to capitalize on that market. We also have sent 2 faculty members to Kentucky to a hemp conference. And they are coming back excited because every week I get calls of individuals concerned about hemp. And 2 days ago I was talking to a guy from Peru wanting to help Southern University. And I was surprised that Peru and Louisiana's time zones are the same. Also, with Dr. Snowden, the medical marijuana, since our campus is unique, we had broached the idea of our company to start looking at making some of the products with organic ingredients. We know organic is so foundational, and I had the opportunity to serve on the organic board a few years ago and wrote quite a few laws. We want to be able to get our part of the market, and that would be a way if we can have some of our meds, Dr. Whitfield, made with organic ingredients. Also, we're looking at the proposal that was given to me last week by our president. We're looking at E. coli and biological toxins. That's the Department of Defense grant, it's a $600,000 grant. Dr. Tate, a former LSU grad, Southern grad, LSU vet grad, is helping us. And we're going to be trying to cooperate with the Tulane Regional Primate Center, LSU Pathology Lab, and trying to bring some dollars in to the Baton Rouge campus. Also, we are asking, I will be seeking to ask each area to provide me a monthly update on how they are coming, Dr. Opening, with the campus data.
Yes, sir.
You know, we don't want to wait until a week out and then we got to collect all this data. So we are asking the vice chancellors and chairs to provide that monthly. We do it for our livestock. Every month there's a monthly report. So we are asking that this campus data be provided. But in closing, I would like to say that it is a living document. It's continuing to evolve. And I'm sure Dr. Lydia Walker is somewhere looking at this satellite, and we would like to say thank you, because she was the person that was leading this for the last 2 years before she left. And again, I would like to say, President Chancellor Dr. Belton, we appreciate your leadership in it, in this plan that we say is fulfilling the promise, a pathway to excellence. And we thank Dr. Opening for having the patience in explaining and assisting us in helping get this to the point of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. Mr. Hilliard. It's not working? Oh, let's see. Try
All right,
now.
there
Okay,
it is.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, my comment is not specifically to your campus, but in general, since before we leave item C, since you're the last one, the system has a strategy that's going to implement an early alert system. So I know we were just given all this information like today in this meeting, so I was going through it fast as I can. So I noticed that
What page are you on, Mr. Hilliard?
page 23, this is objective 2.1, strategy 2.1.3. So I just noticed that there's 2 campuses that are supporting it and specifically call that out. And I think that early alert system is very important to help to support the students before it's too late. I think all of you did an excellent job, so I'm not going to call out the 2 that don't have it. But just please draw attention to supporting that in your objectives. I think that's a very important objective to make sure the system hits the overall goal. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hilliard. Any other questions or comments regarding Ms. Williams?
I won't talk that much, Mr. President. But I do have a couple of questions. And I've listened again to all of the strategic initiatives and different strategic plans for each college that's a part of one system. My question is there any thought to a strategic fundraising plan that would be inclusive of all of the institutional advancement officers, that would develop a plan that would be in line with the system's goal, and also to help us leverage more endowment dollars? I was called by a friend who, at another historical black college in the city of New Orleans, has a $20 million endowment fund, and they need to know what to do with it. And we, to me, should be in that particular position as well, because we talk about the doctors, the lawyers, and all of the major professionals that graduate through this system. So my question is, if, again, when developing the strategic plan for the system and the overall growth, we should be developing a strategic fundraising plan that could help us leverage more dollars, especially when it comes to the Board of Regents, because it should be that each school should be able to raise, I'm going to give an example, and I'm only using this as a low number, 10,000, come to this foundation to match it with 10,000, and then you can go to the Board of Regents and get another 10,000. That's $30,000 in scholarships. That does not necessarily have to go to one student. It could be divided among several students, and it increases our enrollment, which reaches the goals that we want. And so I'm thinking that when we develop this program for Leadership Southern, that something needs to be inclusive of a strategic fundraising plan as well, because the more dollars that we leverage as a whole, the more dollars that we bring into the system. And it has to go beyond athletics. It has to go beyond athletics. And so to me, and I like everything that I hear, the only question or concern that I have is that everybody has something different, and they all have one common denominator. We have to raise funds. So if I'm going to AT&T, you're going to AT&T, you're going to AT&T. You're going to get 5, you're going to get 5, you're going to get 5. But together as a whole, we're going to get 100. And so I just think that we need to look at a strategic initiative around a complete fundraising packet as well. And Dr. Ellis, I have to give credit to 2 young ladies on your staff. We sat for 3 days and came up with a complete plan. So I would refer them to the system president and to whomever's in charge. That's Janice Sneed and Stephanie Rogers, who led a campaign to raise $163,000 by themselves at Susla. And so that can be duplicated across the system if we work together to reach that $1 million goal. It is no reason why our endowments cannot grow. I tell people all the time, don't come telling me anything. I love football. Don't just come telling me about your classic. Let's really make a real impact. If you really want to impact something that deals with this system, write a check. And so they should be able to write a $10,000 check, and this board or foundation should be able to match that $10,000 and go to the Board of Regents. And so at that point now we have $30,000 to put some students in classrooms to do whatever we need to do to increase enrollment and to support that student. So I love strategic initiatives and strategic plans, but I think we need to do a comprehensive fundraising plan around all of this. And my only words is that we need to get on one accord with one and not 5 different messages. Because we're one system, we just have 5 different locations. And so I recommend those ladies, but also, Mr. President, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask or make a request that at the next meeting that each school has a representative that could be presented to this president of who could represent their school on working on developing this type of initiative, that once we launch Leadership Southern, we will have people in place already that will be able to go out and help develop the programs. You just talked about that there's someone on your staff that could help with writing grants. There's someones across this system that could help with writing grants. And there's funding out. I was in Alabama speaking to a young lady, and she said, look, Alabama State, I know that, that's your competitor, but we're getting all kinds of dollars. And so we should be able to compete federally for some of these federal dollars as well and go across, because it's not necessarily just SUNO or Southern and Baton Rouge or Susla, but SUNO and Southern and Baton Rouge can partner. SUNO and Susla and all across can partner on different grants, and the more we have in partnership, the more we leverage to be able to be successful in winning some of those federal dollars. And so that's just my suggestion, that we kind of put this thing together like with one system, just 5 different locations.
Dr. Belton has a ready answer for you, Ms. Williams, because it's a matter he's been working on.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and in fact, I want to express my appreciation for your comments, and in keeping with your request and with permission of the chairman, we're going to ask Mr. Al Harrell, who serves as the CEO of the foundation, to come before this board next month to kind of give an overview of how we're proceeding even now. You should know that, as was pointed out, each of the campuses have their own separate foundations, but the Southern University System Foundation is working with each now to prepare for a capital campaign that we're going to launch this year. And right now, we are in the preliminary stage of even advancing an endowment campaign, where our wish would be to generate as much as $50 million over the course of that period. But I would like to defer to Mr. Harrell, who could probably provide a more comprehensive picture of what we're trying to do and those benchmarks that's guiding that effort. But I certainly appreciate you bringing that to light, because that's very important as we move forward.
Thank you. And again, I'm just hoping that we can take advantage of dollars that are out there and not leave them on the table, especially when it comes to Board of Regents scholarship type dollars, because we are in a good position, especially with the medical marijuana, to encourage more students to come to the Southern University system, and if there's an opportunity out there. And the only other thing is that Mr. Harrell, I would hope that he would include a conversation with the institutional advancement officers at each college, so that he can get a clear picture of where they are and how they can, help move with their foundations to make it one major campaign giving.
I agree. May I have a comment?
Absolutely.
And I think it, Ms. Williams' comments really speak to the direction we are trying to go. I mean, it is clearly apparent that we need to leverage the resources of the entirety of the system. And that's what this strategic plan attempted to do. We offer ourselves as the only historically black system in America, but quite frankly, we have worked independently. And I think this strategic plan initiative provides for us to operate as one, maintaining our own autonomy at the same time. And so I just wanted to express my appreciation to all of the chancellors for their collaborative effort. It's been tedious, and we've all but negotiated benchmarks. I think you would note that in all of the plans, there are benchmarks that we will assess on an annual basis. And indeed, I take this as a game changer for the system. It's been decades since we've had an opportunity to move as guided by common strategies. And so I again just want to express my appreciation to the chancellors and to this board for adopting these plans.
Thank you, Dr. Belton, and you make a number of valuable points, Ms. Williams, that are not lost upon us. As a matter of fact, Dr. Belton and I and Mr. Rail are this afternoon leaving to go visit with a person that will potentially serve as a co-chair of our capital campaign. But I say this to all of you colleagues, the environment has to be right. If you read any of the literature about a capital campaign, there has to be heavy, heavy information and education on the front end such that you get optimal buy-in from all stakeholders. And a centerpiece of that certainly is the leadership. Each one of us on this board is going to play a very vital role in being a vocal and effective and informed ambassador to go out and articulate and advocate why this capital campaign is important. And so that's something that we're really looking forward to launching, but the environment has to be right. Everybody has to be on board. And I agree with you 100% that we need optimal buy-in from all of our constituent members. And so we're looking forward to that presentation next month, Dr. Belton. Members, if you'll indulge us for just one moment, we've got some young people who come in the room, as you see. In fact, last year when we were here, a presentation was made where we acknowledged these young people who are doing some really amazing things. So I want to pause for just a second and acknowledge Chancellor Pierre, who will introduce our future Jaguars.
Yes, again, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to see this fine group of young ladies and men that are part of the Minority Law and Research Institute that has been going on at Southern University for that Law Center for now 19 years, introduced to us by Dr. Leon Tarver. And I would like for Reverend Hayden, Joseph Hayden, come on, Dr. Hayden, come on, who this board has been gracious enough to award an honorary, allow us to award him an honorary degree from Southern University Law Center. So Dr. Hayden has for the last 19 years, at least with Southern University and Southern University Law Center, and for longer than that, been engaged in a very important philanthropic engagement through his Aunt Berta's Foundation, and raises the money every year to make sure that all of these young students can come to Southern University Law Center and spend 2 weeks on our campus as resident and learn about law. And they're going to do a mock trial next week. And for the last 2 years, we've been able to actually bring them to New Orleans to visit the Southern University New Orleans campus, and they will see a bright, sparkling campus, so that when they consider options for their education, these 9th graders all the way to 12th graders, that they will consider multiple units within the Southern University system. So Dr. Hayden, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor, and members of the board and other guests. We are very pleased today to have with us 38 students to attend the Minority Law Institute for the 19th year. Since the year of 2000, the Minority Law and Research Institute, MILARI, has worked in conjunction with Southern University Law Center to build a pipeline of diverse high school and college students by exposing and encouraging them and motivating students to pursue careers in the legal profession. The Minority Law and Research Institute enrolls approximately 50 students, rising 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and first-year college students from over 15 school districts around the United States in its summer program. The Minority Law and Research Institute has the following goals and objectives: to prepare underrepresented students for academic study in political science and to increase student aptitude, research, performance on standardized tests, SAT and LSAT. Provide students with a broad array of information related to the law and the legal profession. Students participating in this program will be exposed to law-related concepts, instructional strategies, and research projects. As a part of the Minority Law and Research program, students participate in the following curriculum. They do legal research, legal writing, visits to the courthouse, mock trial competition, classroom discussion, and legal theories. Classroom discussion on landmark cases such as the Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka. One-on-one interaction with judges, legal practitioners from the corporate law firm. The Minority Law and Research Institute is committed to building a pipeline of diverse students. We are very fortunate and happy, and we want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. We have, of the 38 students, probably any of them could make this presentation this morning, but we are very fortunate to have Nina Donald from Louisiana and Mr. Adi Imi from Frederick, Maryland, to come and say a word about our program. Will you please come at this time? Thank you.
Good morning, board. As Dr. Hayden has said, my name is Nina Donald, and I just want to say a few words about what we've been doing. All I can say is that the knowledge that I have gained from this experience has been very abundant. I thank Mr. Chancellor John Pierre for introducing me to the program, and I'll tell you about some of the things that I've learned. First thing that I've learned is when you say you want to be a lawyer, it's very different than actually having the experience and being able to research what it actually takes to become a lawyer. I didn't know that it would be long nights and very hard work, but I appreciate the experience. I've met very wonderful people, my peers and the counselors and the law students that have helped me, and also gaining the experience of what it's like to be a college student, rising early to go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I just want to thank everybody on the board, because without you guys, I don't know what would happen for the future generation of second degree students going to their second education level. And I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity, and please keep up the hard work to produce students like me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Adam Oladiemi, and I am from Frederick, Maryland, at Tuscarora High School. I've always had a passion for law and research and litigation ever since I participated in my school's mock trial competition since I was in 9th grade. Coming to this program, I wasn't necessarily sure of how different of the experience would be, because in my school, we just go about the trial. I participated in 15 to 20 trials in the last 3 years I've had, and it was fun. I've always loved it, and the research we did was engaging. But coming to the Minority Law and Research Institute by Dr. Hayden and the Aunt Bertus Love One Foundation, it only exemplified and pushed my passion for law and research even further. Working with these students that you see back here today, I've gained many great connections and learned the skills of building connections with other individuals around the country, and learning about how their schools and operations work, and then further research into these legal fields such as criminal law, contract law, sports law, etc. It's only made me feel a more greater passion and drive for this field that I've always been passionate about. And I'd like to thank Dr. Hayden and the Aunt Bertus Love One Foundation for this wonderful opportunity they have given us to participate in such an engaging and research-driven institute. And I would recommend any individual across the entire nation and across the East Coast like we have here to participate in this, to further engage and develop our skills as aspiring lawyers. Thank you.
We thank you. Did you have something else,
Yeah,
Dr. Hayden?
Just one word. Again, our thanks to Chancellor Pierre and all the members of the law school staff, and to Mr. Mark Barnes, who is also with us. This is a great group of students, and they have done some great work, and we are excited about having them. And thank you for having us, Southern University. Thank you so much, the law school.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Chancellor Pierre. I think we have some comments, Dr. Hayden. Dr. Tarver.
Yes, I wanted to congratulate Dr. Hayden again. When he approached me some 19 years ago about an initiative such as this, I had no idea that it would produce what I see today. Very heartfelt. And thank you so much, and you, Chancellor, for taking upon yourself the responsibility of making this happen for these young people.
And again, we thank you and thank all of these young people. Dr. Talbot and I know one special young lady, Miss Diamond Dixon there, and we're so very happy to see her and all of the other young people who are here and participating, and trust that your experience has been wholesome. I don't see any other comments from board. Mr. Shardy?
I just wanted to say I think you guys did a great job. But for the lawyers in New Orleans, I'd like to say I would encourage you to go to dental school because we don't need the competition. I don't want the competition.
Just leave the state when you get your law license. Thank you. Good observation there. That completes the presentations for for action item 6C. We need to carry. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Members, what's your pleasure regarding action items 6D through I? It's been moved that we will adopt in global action items 6D through I. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Before we go to Dr. Williams and the resolutions, I do want to, members, highlight action item 6E. And Chancellor Pierre, are there any representatives here from the Clayton County?
No, there are not, because they were called to a special meeting by the state superintendent.
Okay.
So they indicate they could not be here, but they would like to come to thank the board and be here later this summer. And in particular, with respect to the Clayton County MOU, I want to thank several individuals who, just on an article of faith, went to Atlanta, including you.
Yes.
Dr. Donna Grant was with us.
She was.
All right, and Dr. Kimberly Scott.
Yes.
So basically, we believe that this can be a model. There are a number of rising African-American superintendents that are in public schools that used to be more traditionally white, that are getting to be darker, and student power who want to connect with HBCU institutions. And so the Southern University system benefited from a relationship that actually started with something Dr. Donald Andrews connected me with, and actually one of the young ladies here, here you go. She knows she knows William Allen really, really well, Bill Lacesta Allen, because her mother and father run the Allen Entrepreneurial Institute. So there she is. Say hello. And she knows well about the Clayton County School District. But the superintendent was very excited that he could get the Southern University system components into the room, as well as Bennett College, to essentially chart a new path for his students to look at schools that could help them achieve better post-secondary education results. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and perhaps we can duplicate it with multiple school districts around the country. And I know Dr. Kimberly Scott and Dr. Finch went out to Clayton County and did several recruiting trips, and they would have missed this school district because they had never been to it in the greater Atlanta area. It is a rising school district with almost 60,000 students.
that a lot of people don't even recognize exists.
Well, we thank you, Chancellor. You insisted that I go to this. I'm glad I went. We were hosted very well. It was very informative, and the people from Clayton County was very excited about the potential of sending their students to Southern University. It was a tough trip because it was Super Bowl weekend, and I had to walk through the airport and see all of those Rams fans and to tell them, you don't belong here. The Saints do. But I got out of there just as soon as I could Saturday morning to get back home. So we're looking for future updates about the success of this collaborative, and hopefully we'll see either this fall or spring some students from Clayton County enrolling in some of our schools. Now, I want to correct something, because I said these young people were future Jaguars, and Dr. Mims-Devizan corrected me and says, and Knights. So we have some future Jaguars and Knights. Mrs. Smith.
Would you give us a brief update, updated explanation of F, 6F?
Dr. Bell?
Yes, Ms. Smith, we were asking the board to give some consideration to MOU that enable the Southern University Alumni Federation to collaborate with the Southern University system in advancing what may potentially be a new housing on the Baton Rouge campus. As you know, the Federation has a design that incorporates housing and an alumni center conference complex. And as we explore the potential of developing housing, we want to determine whether or not it would be feasible to adopt that project as a part of that overall plan to incorporate in our aims. And so this is a non-binding agreement that seeks from this board the authorization to explore that relationship to see whether or not we could ultimately come together toward that aim.
Thank you. Now we'll go to item J, Dr. Williams, resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. President. The May 2019 resolutions are as follows. Condolences to the Donna Grant family. Dr. Grant was a native of Florida. At the time of her passing, she served as Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs at Southern University at New Orleans. She was affiliated with numerous professional, civic, and social organizations. Some include Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Martin Luther King Worldwide Free and Accepted Modern Masons and Order of Eastern Star, and Girl Scouts of America. Prior to her appointment at Southern University at New Orleans, she enjoyed a stellar career as an elementary school teacher in the Miami-Dade public school system for more than 20 years, where she taught and served as principal. She passed away Monday, June 10th, 2019. The Ora Dean Mason family. Ms. Mason was a resident of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the mother of Mr. Sean Bates, painter in the Facility Services Department at Southern University at Baton Rouge. She passed away Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. Our condolences are also extended to the Dr. Allison Anadi family. Dr. Anadi was a native of Nigeria and professor and program leader of the Department of Criminal Justice at Southern University at Baton Rouge. He also formerly served on the faculty at Southern University at New Orleans. He passed away Saturday, June 1st. Mr. Chair, this concludes our resolutions for the May 2019
Thank
month.
you, Dr. Williams. Is there a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? Properly second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. We move quickly to our informational items. Item 7A, the medical marijuana update. Dr. Walker, I saw Dr. Snowden here. There she is. Good morning.
Members of the board. Well, since our last meeting, we have submitted our SOPs. Those are our standard operating procedures to the Department of Ag. They did return them on yesterday for us to make the necessary corrections to those. We've given a deadline of Monday to our vendor to have those back to us so that we may submit for final approval. Once they've been approved, Ag and Forestry and DHH will do a final walkthrough of the temporary facility so that we may begin cultivation. Also, since the last meeting, we're happy to report that we have received our building permits for the 9,000 square foot building, which will be the Phase 1 building. The building has been cleared, reskinned, and insulated, and the preliminary interior plumbing has been completed. We've also met with Department of Ag and Forestry regarding the laboratory procedures and how they wanted to conduct those, and also to discuss the incorporation of the hemp-derived CBD products, which we did say would actually bring more revenue to the university by using those hemp-derived products. So we discussed how they would be incorporated into the program. And the only thing with those, USDA does not submit or put their rules out until September through December for us for those, so we will be waiting on those. To date, 7 of the 9 pharmacies or dispensaries have received their licenses across the state of Louisiana. The only ones that have yet to come on board are those in Alexandria and the Monroe, West Monroe area. So we're waiting on those to come on board as well so that we could make the partnerships with those to actually provide products to them. We have met with a lot of the others, and they're willing to receive our products and things of that nature. We have Southern University and the Ilera team have completed our first phase of metric training, and metric is the system that we will use to input all our plant identification information, and it'll be our tracking software so that if anything happens to go wrong in any area, we'll be able to go back and track those batches and lot numbers. Our next stakeholders meeting is scheduled for August to discuss the timelines and progress of the programs, and that's the stakeholders meeting that includes all the state entities, which is Southern University, LSU, Ag and Forestry, Department of Health and Hospital, Pharmacy Board, and Medical Board, and that is open to the public if anyone did want to attend those meetings. We're still holding our weekly meetings. We hold them on Tuesdays, and that's to address any issues or concerns that we are having with the program. And we use that time to actually talk through it and work through those processes. Lately, I know many of you have seen that in the news there has been some friction amongst the initial Advanced Biomedics owners and our new minority owners of Ilera, but to date, Southern University has no problems, with the current vendor. They have met all our timelines. They have made the initial, payments to the university, fulfilled all the commitments thus far, and we are allowing them to handle their internal affairs. Now, there will be a meeting with the Ilera group and the initial Advanced Biomedics members in the upcoming months. I know they've scheduled a meeting for that so that they can discuss those internal affairs. So, that can be worked through. But with that article that was printed, 2 of those members are current owners of the program, well, of the investment company. So we don't see, any issues going forward with that. I know a letter was sent to, the chair of the board, but we don't see any issues going forward, with that. They're gonna have those meetings. And also, I was just thinking, because I know everyone is wondering about the, the progress of it. And, it seems like it's like a slow process, but we're actually making significant progress with this program. And that's not just with Southern University, but that's across the state, because there are a lot of moving parts on this. So, we may have a part together, but then you have to wait till this other area gets theirs together as well. So it's a lot of moving parts, but we are making significant products, and we're still set, for our timeline of having product in the fall. And at this time, I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions, any comments, any observations?
And also, I would like to, for those that did not have an opportunity to come to the visit, I did put a short presentation together just to show you what the facility looked like, what we have done, and where we are now.
You had a presentation for this morning?
It's very brief, just to show photos.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's... Okay, next slide. So the first is just the temporary facility, and that's the outside of that facility. This is where we're actually starting the grow phase. You can go to the next one. This is what we're actually growing in. This is showing the grow rack and the lighting for the temporary grow. The next slide shows our phase 1 building. This is a building that I mentioned had been cleared and reskinned. And the next slide just shows that it's been insulated, and they are beginning those initial works for that. The plumbing has been done. And that's the 9,000 square foot building. And I said this is the phase 1, but we do have a building that's coming aboard after this one that is 60,000 square feet. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Snowden. I don't see any questions, any comments. We will move now quickly to item 7B. Dr. Belton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My comments will be brief as well. I would like to just take a moment, though, to thank Dr. Lisa Mims Devazine and her team for hosting us today.
Here, here.
The staff has been very accommodating. I want to just express my appreciation to you. Interestingly enough, while we're here today, I was actually in New Orleans the early part of the week. I was invited to attend the National Baptist Convention of America, whose president is one of our own, the honorable member of the board, Dr. Samuel Torbert. And I could tell you, I was just so impressed with that gathering, and the speaker, who was the president of Simmons College, and also a pastor who I understand's congregation rises to as many as 14,000 members. He was just dynamic. But what most interesting, it was interesting that we've been talking about fundraising today, but Dr. Torbert, in a matter of 6 minutes, and I timed it, in 6 minutes, he raised $10,000 in 6 minutes. And it speaks to the fact that maybe we can learn something from him.
Ms. Williams, we'll put him on that campaign.
In 6 minutes. But I want to thank him for that invitation, and certainly I enjoyed it thoroughly. I would defer my comments then to Dr. Williams. I thought it appropriate that we give you an update on the ongoing search for the Chancellor of the Agriculture Extension Center and Dean of the College of Agriculture, Family and Consumer Science.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Southern University Ag Center Chancellor Dean search is currently underway and is continuing. On Thursday, June 27th, there will be 6 candidates that will be visiting campus, spending the day on campus with faculty, staff, students, and stakeholders. Dr. Gina Eubanks, as well as Dr. Sahu, have put together a full day of scheduled activities in which we'll be sharing with the board early next week. They will also be interviewing with that committee on that day, and there is a schedule again that we will share with you at the beginning of next week. They have also notified all 6 of those candidates and will be putting out that public schedule as well as working with communications. We will share again all of that information with you once finalized. Their task is, of course, to recommend 3 candidates to President Belton once their work is finalized.
And we would anticipate bringing those candidates forward or a recommendation forward to this board at the July board meeting. Oh, yes, yes, and you should know that on this afternoon, hopefully over lunch, we will be in a position to provide for you documentation in keeping with my self-assessment, so we should get that to you shortly.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Belton and Dr. Williams. We look forward to getting the, I guess this will be sent by email early next week on the schedule for the Chancellor, action of the Chancellor. Okay, we'll now move quickly to our campus reports, and we'll begin with Chancellor Mims-Devizan. It's not coming on? Let's see, just give me 1 second. All right, try now. Okay.
Good afternoon. The Southern University at New Orleans campus report is enclosed for your review, but at this time I'd like to acknowledge the faculty, staff, and students of Southern University at New Orleans who are presently attending the board meeting on today. If you can, raise your hand. I know it may. And we would like to thank everyone for your attendance and presence here on our campus. From the last time you've been here, you can see that our campus is growing. We now have the majority of the buildings complete. We should begin occupancy of the College of Education building starting this fall semester. That building is equipped with a state-of-the-art facility for Head Start and early childhood development. And if you have the opportunity to take a look at the buildings, we will also have the assessment done to complete the renovations for the museum and the flooring for the auditorium. And at this time, I have no further comments other than to acknowledge our coach for track and field. He will be receiving the Eddie Robinson Award this year.
Very good, and congratulations. I saw this morning on the news here at the hotel getting ready to come where they won, I believe in South Carolina or North Carolina, they were competing and won a championship there, so we extend our congratulations to them. Chancellor Ellis.
Again, good afternoon, good morning rather. Just a couple quick things. Southern University at Shreveport celebrated its 20th Gentleman's Cooking Classic. If you have not been to the Gentleman's Cooking Classic in Shreveport, hosted by our foundation, do encourage you to come next year. It was full of folks that were cooking, and we'll have a special dish for you coming up from the Shreveport campus, but also very well supported by the Lieutenant Governor's Office and the Louisiana Seafood Association. In addition to that, just one other quick announcement. Southern Shreveport will be hosting Dr. Lane Rowling. He's the medical director of the Tropical Pathology and Infectious and Disease Control Association based out of Peru. He'll be on campus next week working with students and faculty on infectious disease pathways and giving public lectures. That concludes my report. The entire campus report is included in your packet. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I'd like to mention today 2 of our summer program ended. It started at 9 o'clock, not ended, but it started at 9. At 4 o'clock today, Fisher Hall, there will be a picnic with parents and the 60 participants in the program. And we hope a good number of these students will be Jaguars. Also, I'd like to mention that...
on nights.
On nights. And I would be remiss, because I had it at the top of my list, Chancellor Deverson Mims. I might not be able to drive back with my wife back to Baton Rouge, because she mentioned that I need to mention thank you for the gifts that was in the rooms that you did. I would like to also say that the USDA scholarships, mandatory $500,000, effective August 2020. But in the bill, they added the mandatory monies. And we'll know before the end of the year if that would happen. If it happens, it will be not $500,000, it will be $1 million per year. And last week, President Belton, seen to be the dean of the 1890s land grants, he asked a very good question to the USDA officials. How long would this money last? And the answer was in perpetuity. It'll last forever. So he asked a very good question in the closed-door session. It's not 5 years. So that was a good thing. I also like to mention that thanks to Mr. Eli Guillory and Dr. Belton and the delegation, the Mega Disaster Center, $24.4 million under Dr. Fields. We started this October of last year. That was a dream of Dr. Fields. We had several meetings. 15 million was a part of it. When we finished it in April, it was 9.4 added. And this Mega Disaster Center will be used for different floods, hurricanes, and the like. And it will be at the SU Ag Center Experiment Station. And thanks again to Mr. Eli Guillory for always returning calls, answering calls, and being patient as we in the Ag Center kept asking and how that was going. Also, we'd like to thank Senator Greg Tarver for what he did for the equitable match. Dr. Merrick, this is so foundational to us, the $800,000. We're coming back next year trying to get that $6 million. Because with that, we can do a lot of things as it relates to our land grant mission. But we are certainly appreciative of Senator Tarver because he's our champion. And the champion came through for us, and we are giddy in the Ag Center for this appropriation. And the $500,000, I'm told, will be every year. It's not a one-time thing. So we're going to come back next year with hands, buckets, purses, and wallets asking for more. Also, I'd like to say that the Child Development Center, I know they are watching. We are asking them to be of courage. They wanted to be here. They had hoped to have good words on yesterday about their licensing. It's just that the licensed person did not come out. Because if they would have came out, we would have been certain that they would have gotten approved and we would have had our license for the Child Development Center. So that probably will come up on next week. Also, I'd like to say thanks to Mr. Eli Guillory, the multi-purpose building, it seats 250 individuals. We are having a retirement for several individuals. Mary Hollingsworth, out of the Rapides Parish area, 31 years of service. She's retiring. Terry Washington, 43 years, an extension agent in Rapides Parish. And I'll be going to that after this meeting. It started at 2:45. Deborah Jackson, 13 years. She's young, but she's retiring from that same office. And also, I'd like to say with some regret is that for those of you who know Dr. Dozie Butler, she served as the Associate Dean. At one time, she was desirous of getting the old spot back as the Associate Dean. Someone else came a-calling, the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So she will be going to the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, HBCU land grant in the similar capacity that I'm serving. And she will be in that role. And she will be leaving July 1. I tried to offer more money, even though I didn't have it, but she said nothing would turn her around. It was a great opportunity, a lot of relatives, so she is going to that, a new position. And the last person I would like to mention, is she here? Dr. Linda Baptiste. Are you here? Could you? And Dr. Linda Baptiste is also leaving. She's going to Alabama A&M. As an assistant vice president for finance and controller. And $40,000, $50,000 or more, we just can't touch that. So she will be leaving as well to higher heights and deeper depths. And Dr. Baptiste, we certainly thank you for your service. And my experience is, since I've known you for 5 years, she can tell you no with a smile, and you believe that she had said yes on something.
Okay.
In terms of funding and protocol. So she's very, very adept in making you feel good when she said, you know, you can't use money that way. And we was delighted when she did tell me on last week about it, Dr. Baptiste, is that I immediately went to Miss Belinda Mack. And we have asked Belinda Mack if she would step in, and she graciously did so. And thanks to Dr. Ammons, we was able to give her a little extra compensation for her stepping into that role. And the last thing I would like to say is that
That's two last things.
oh, the two last things. The final one is that the hemp is still going. We're looking at having a hemp conference in August. And my predecessor also had mentioned before we left to keep things on the table as it relates to Uganda and South Africa. And I'd like to say that those projects are still going and they're alive and well. Thank you very much.
Are you finished, Dr. Walker?
Yes, sir. Set two.
Dr. Davis.
Yes, Dr. Walker. When is Dr. Butler leaving?
I asked her that. She said she wanted to make sure her retirement things are right. It may be like the first week in August.
Thank you.
All right. Moment of personal privilege by Mr. McGee before we go to Chancellor Pierre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was informed last night that Professor Diamond is going to be leaving the Southern University Law Center as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't publicly thank her for her tireless years of service to the students at the Southern University Law Center. Now, I can tell you that I firmly believed my 1L year that although I didn't participate in her class unintentionally my first year and intentionally my second and third year, because what I believed her to be doing was academic, cruel, and unusual punishment to my fellow classmates, but that was youthful ignorance on my part, and now as an elder person in the legal community, I absolutely understand that what she was doing was providing us a vigorous introduction into the rigors of the legal profession. And Professor Diamond, I personally, and on behalf of the board, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay, want to thank you for what you've done to our profession and for our students. With that being said, Mr. Chair, this concludes the Southern University Law Center's campus report.
All right. Well, I'm in agreement with that. Because his will be as short as Dr. Walker's. But I join you in congratulating Professor Diamond in her retirement. Unlike you, Pat, I had her straight out of the gate, and I gave her all I had. And I'm convinced, Reverend Henry, I had an A in that class, but somehow or another my transcript didn't reflect that. And as chairman, now that she's leaving, I want a thorough investigation and the record corrected. So we thank you and wish you the very best in your retirement. Chancellor Pierre.
Yes, good morning again. A few quick things. I want to thank Dr. Tarver for helping us facilitate a facility upgrade. If you drive down by the museum, you'll see a paved parking lot that we had a ribbon cutting exercise on Wednesday, on Juneteenth of all days, on Wednesday. So I want to thank you, sir, for working with us, and Mr. Kestiware, and everybody from the Law Center, Mr. Hall and Ms. Gaines, and of course, Mrs. Kerr. And then Mr. Dunbar, yesterday, came with the governor's interns. Governor John Bel Edwards started an intern program for students
in the executive branch, and Mr. Dunbar and Miss Southern and Miss Brew were among the interns, and they had heard a very rousing discussion about civil rights in Louisiana. And then one of the interns is actually a Georgetown University student who raised a very poignant question about the GU 272 and the issue of reparations. And I think he was glad to hear that Southern University was very much involved in those discussions, and the issue of reparations, I think, going to become a very important discussion in America that Southern University will be involved in. The other thing is July 7th through the 9th, the Southern University Law Center, along with the University Economic Development group at the College of Business and the Tunica Biloxi Tribe, is going to have the first ever Louisiana Rural Economic Development Summit in Marksville, Louisiana. And we're going to honor, as part of that, a former chair, Myron Lawson, and we'll provide you all the information about that. And the registration is complimentary for all board members who want to attend. I believe Dr. Gaines has tentatively agreed that he will participate and even do a little introduction for us.
What's the date of that again?
July 7th through the 9th. The 7th is a reception in the evening on Sunday evening, but the 8th and the 9th, and two of the speakers for that event will be, of course, our own Governor John Bell Edwards, who will speak on the 9th for breakfast on that Tuesday, and on Monday for lunch, Congressman Neil, is it Abraham? No, it's Congressman Abraham, who I believe might be running for governor. I don't know. All right, well, there we go. We got both of them there for some reason that want to come speak to the folks at the Tunica Biloxi.
Will you please email the board office the pertinent information so it can be disseminated to all board members?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, and again, I want to thank everyone. Again, the board approved a very important MOU with the Moa tribe, and of course today I want to re-recognize. Today is the 55th anniversary of the death of Shrina Goodman and Cheney in Philadelphia, Mississippi. I was there Sunday, and one of our faculty members received an award for her work in the civil rights and social justice. That's Professor Angela Bell. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Pierre. Dr. Ammons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, President Belton, colleagues. The White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and Universities recently announced the names of 44 students from 34 HBCUs selected as the 2019 HBCU Competitiveness Scholars. This is the initiative's highest student recognition. There were four students from the state of Louisiana, and three of them are enrolled at Southern University and A&M College. They are Morgan Mallory of Alexandria, Christian King of Baton Rouge, and Trezel Rega of Marrero. So we want to congratulate those students for being named Competitiveness Scholars by the HBCU initiative. Also, Southern University has been awarded a 5-year, $1 million contract from the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Behavioral Health, to create the statewide Center for Prevention Resources. This project is led by Southern University professors Dr. Muriel Harrison and Dr. Jocelyn Freeman. The School of Nursing also received a grant from the Board of Regents e-learning innovation program. It was funded to launch a new gateway to a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree through an online program delivery using open education resources. I want to thank the board for approving the appointment of Dr. Sandra Brown as the new dean of the College of Nursing and Allied Health. Dr. Brown would have been here with us today, but as the president indicated, she's not here because she's being inducted as a fellow of the American Association of Nurse Practitioners. This is the highest international honor bestowed on a nurse practitioner. And we want to congratulate Dean Brown for being inducted. But before I finish, I also want to just take a moment to give thanks to Dr. Janet Ramey. As you know, Dr. Ramey retired in May, just last month. But Dean Ramey provided 34 years of outstanding and stellar service leading the School of Nursing. She built Dean Ramey built the foundation that has led the SU nursing program to being recognized as one of the top nursing program in the state of Louisiana and one of the top nursing programs nationally. As you know, Southern University nurses continue to provide quality health care and are in high demand all across this state and the nation. And I just wanted to pause and give her thanks. And I also want to thank Dr. Jacqueline Hill for stepping in and serving as interim dean while we conducted this national search. But again, I think we have a superstar in Dr. Brown, and I want to thank you, and we're going to work with her to lead the School of Nursing and the college to higher heights. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Two brief, oh, Mrs. Smith? Use your mic, Mrs. Smith, please.
I'm sorry?
Can you give us just a quick update on your cybersecurity program?
Well, the cybersecurity program, we are now in the stage of finishing negotiating the lease for the facility in Virginia. We are preparing a proposal to the State Council on Higher Education for the state of Virginia to receive certification. And we are working with the company Excellent to begin delivering cybersecurity certifications in Baton Rouge, and we're working on their contract to deliver those same certifications in the state of Virginia. The facility is scheduled to open September 1st in Quantico, Virginia. Yes.
All right, thank you. Two brief acknowledgments. One, Ms. Tanya Moore, president of 1880 Society. Stand up back there, Ms. Moore, so they can see you. Ms. Williams, that society will play a central role in whatever success we hope to have with a capital campaign. And I want to ask Madison and Bailey McGee to come to the microphone. Madison and Bailey McGee. Now, these are two beautiful young ladies for which we thank God for their mother's gene contribution. But we just want to acknowledge you all today and thank you for spending the day with us and your father. And for those of you who don't know this, these are the beautiful daughters of Mr. Pat McGee. And I'm going to spare you, Madison and Bailey. I'm not going to do you like your daddy did Jude Robert at our last meeting to tell us what you learned today and how you felt being with us. So I'm not going to do that to you, but we're so very happy to have you here with us today. We hope you come back and visit us real soon. Okay? All right, great.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. All righty. We move now to item 8. Is there any other business?
Yeah,
any other announcement? Mr. Fondale.
I would like to publicly recognize avid supporter of Southern University, who's going to, at the end of his term here, will be retiring from the Louisiana legislature, Mr. A.B. Franklin. on this weekend, we're going to be having a celebration for him in Lake Charles on his retirement from the legislature. So I just wanted to take the time to recognize him publicly. He served in the legislature for 12 continuous years. He's also has a total of 30 years of public service in Southwest Louisiana, and he has been an avid supporter of Southern University over the years. So I just wanted to take the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well deserved to Representative Franklin. Mr. Dunbar.
I just wanted to acknowledge a fellow student leader of mine, Mr. Patrick Shaw, who is the SJ president at SUNO.
Very good. Stand up so we can see you. Okay. Was that anything else? All right. Seeing none, entertain a motion for adjournment. All right. Stand adjourned. Thank you, members.